At the beginning of the 90s, Suge created his own promotion company called Nightlife and hired a ghostwriter called Mario Johnson. According to Suge, Mario wrote the song Ice Ice Baby for Vanilla Ice.
Got the hook while my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
At the beginning, Suge met him at a restaurant, had a nice talk with him, and that was that. 3 weeks later, Vanilla Ice walked into his hotel room to find Suge Knight there, who wasn't alone, but with a few other people who were armed. The two then went out to the balcony to have a chat.
He had me look over the edge, show me how high I was up there.
You scared?
I needed to wear a diaper on that day.
So I signed the pieces of paper there, and it allowed him to have a few points on the record to the extreme, which turned out to be worth millions of dollars.
There's a myth that states that the rapper was allegedly hung by his ankles from the 15th floor balcony until he agreed to look at it from Suge's point of view. However, Vanilla himself said this wasn't the case. According to him, Suge behaved with dignity, but there were hints of threat and extortion. Generally speaking, Vanilla narrated the story several times in different ways, sometimes stating that they were on the balcony and in other times stating that they were not. Most recently, Mario and Vanilla Ice had a verbal altercation over an interview on The Art of Dialogue, where a ghostwriter called him a liar. Mario claims that he wrote several songs for Vanilla Ice's debut album called To the Extreme. We had a problem that when the record came out, I was sent to Texas to work with him on the album. I did 9 songs and he was supposed to pick 5 that I was getting paid for. But he ended up putting all 9 on the album, said Mario Johnson. Well, of course, Vanilla Ice's main song was touched on.
Every song I did on that album, he credited himself. He said he wrote Ice Ice Baby at 16. He didn't write no parts of that song, and he really believed it.
Vanilla Ice reacted to these words with the following: Suge Knight is garbage. Now put your fanny pack on and dancing shoes and let's kick it. Bob James, who was witness to the supposed conversations between Vanilla and Suge, said the following.
So Chocolate had nothing to do with that song?
No. He took the contract to Vanilla Ice, made him sign it, and they gave him a check for it.
Were you there when that happened?
Yeah, I was with you.
Generally speaking, it's up to you to decide who to believe. However, we have Puff Daddy next in line. The relationship between Puff and Suge was normal until the time when Suge said this at the Source Awards in '95.
Any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
A month and a half later, there was a brawl between Death Row and Bad Boy Records at a club in Atlanta. Keith Murray, who was at the scene at the time of the incident, recounted how the conversation between the bosses of the major labels ended.
And then Suge was like, yo, you all right? And Puffy was there. Then all of a sudden I saw Suge. Pow! Smacked the dog out of Puffy.
Reggie White Jr., who was the head of security for Death Row Records, had a different version.
But he did grab him by his collar and was blaming Puffy that night.
As a result, Suge Knight's close friend and bodyguard, Big Jake, was killed.
He was a good friend of him. He was a very good friend. You see them together often, and I think Suge trusted him a lot.
Published reports state that some witnesses claimed that someone close to Puff was responsible. According to Suge, Puff filed a lawsuit against all the members of Death Row except Suge Knight. Keefe D revealed in an interview that Puff Daddy used Navy SEALs for security because he was scared of Suge Knight after the murder of Big Jake.
And I'm scared of the big boy. I mean, you know, he didn't say it in that type of words, but we went to the concert, it was in San Diego, and this nigga had fucking Navy SEALs in the next room. It looked like the FBI with earpieces and everything.
At one of the parties, Suge Knight and quite possibly Pac began to beat out information from a person from the Bad Boy party about the whereabouts of Puff, who by some miracle turned out to be at the Death Row party.
He might have got a few punches and he probably drunk about 20 shots of piss. You know what I mean? Literally.
Less than 2 weeks later, when it came time for the How Can I Be Down rap conference in Miami, the heat was on. Suge, who has never concealed his past affiliations with LA's Notorious Bloods, was rumored to be coming with an army. Puff was said to be bringing a massive bunch of New York drug lords and thugs. When it was time for the conference, Puff didn't attend. and Billboard reported that it was due to threats from Death Row. Then came the Soul Train Awards in '96. This was the first time Tupac and Biggie met since Pac survived a robbery attempt in '94. Pac won the Best Album of the Year award, but wasn't able to collect the award as the organizers feared they would run into Bad Boy Records.
Suge was like, man, hey man, is that Biggie them? Is that Puppy them? And I mean, he starts his car, literally, starts the Hummer, while me and D-Lo are standing next to him, and he just punches the gas, and he drives through the fence, literally through the gated area, because they had a police presence, LAPD, so that if you see Suge Knight, don't allow them in.
According to Suge Knight, he and Tupac had a plan to run on stage when Biggie appeared on it.
What up, 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 what up?
We arrived for the award ceremony and it was like an army invasion. The security guards thought, wow, what's going on? Said Suge Knight. They went through the VIP area where they saw Bad Boys and some of the Crips from South Compton. After that, a fight broke out and Reggie White Jr. recounted how Puff acted after he saw the gun.
One thing I can say about Biggie Small, nigga didn't run. He was just standing there. But everybody else around him was running. Even I saw Puffy run under and hid under a car.
Now you tell me who won. I see them, they run.
After Suge was released from jail, he continued talking about Puff.
We need to leave Puffy alone. Anytime a guy goes on national TV, express how much he loved this woman, how much he needs this woman, how much he missed this woman, and then just do everything he can for this woman, and she turns around and drops you for a dancer.
And he doesn't like that a certain group of people believe that he killed Pac, but they do not consider Puff Daddy as a possible killer.
Bitch ass Puffy can give him a mother star. Every rat in the world said he didn't want to kill Tupac.
Puff Daddy still got off lightly. The same cannot be said about a manager called Happy Walters, who learned the hard way that he shouldn't mess with Suge after he refused to give up his top talent, RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan. Happy Walters, who also managed bands like Cypress Hill and House of Pain, was abducted at a Los Angeles ATM. Walters was reportedly discovered 2 days later at a hotel in Long Beach. He was dazed, beaten, and covered in cigarette burns. Walters claimed amnesia prevented him from remembering. No police report was filed, and within a matter of weeks, Walters had conveniently dropped RZA and the majority of his rap acts. Generally speaking, at that time, the members of Death Row themselves were afraid of Suge Knight. Many said that he got out of control. It got to the point that he used physical violence against the opposite sex.
You understand? I've seen people get that dough locked on them.
I wasn't the only lady that got beat up.
And of course, Snoop Dogg appears in our video once again because the story doesn't end there. The thing is that according to the rumors, in 1998, Snoop told police that he felt he was in grave danger as a result of leaving Death Row Records, according to a memo produced within the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. The memo states that the rapper also told a sheriff's lieutenant that Knight had Tupac killed, but no one was ever charged in the case. Knight heatedly denies the claim, which has been promoted by conspiracy theorists for years, and says, "I'm mad at him because he's a snitch."
A rat is the lowest you can go. A rat will do anything.
So you don't think Snoop was the rat?
I mean, I don't want to make Alice. I don't need to put nobody out there.
Okay.
If I do, that's like a form of telling. But for the street guys out there, they know. They know this guy never come to prison. They know the only way to stay out of prison is one way.
This, by the way, was actively discussed several years ago when rapper 6ix9ine spoke out about these documents.
Snoop Dogg's paperwork right here. Snoop Dogg's paperwork for everyone to see. Everybody to see. Snoop Dogg's paperwork.
Snoop Dogg commented on this, saying the following: "People know how I ain't have nothing to do with Suge Knight getting time. We had the same lawyers. This rad reaching calling me a snitch, and FYI, he most likely drew up the papers. He does work with the police. Suge and I are on great terms now, so if I told on him, we would never be cool, and that's a fact."
Suge Knight is the one that murdered Tupac. He told the cops that.
Well, I mean,
he told them that.
That's something totally different. I mean, if he
said it. It's in black and white in the police report, dog.
Okay, but
generally speaking, this is the other side of the story of Suge Knight and Snoop Dogg. Do you believe it? And did Snoop fear Suge Knight? Let us know in the comments. I think you've all seen the movie Straight Outta Compton, and you've all heard about Suge's horrific act when he ran over Terry Carter and Clay Sloan in a pickup truck. Terry unfortunately died, but Clay managed to survive. However, the director of the movie, called F. Gary Gray, could have also become a victim. Suge was reportedly unhappy with the way he was portrayed in the movie and the fact that he had not received any compensation, court records show. Eventually, Gray hung up. At least 2 more phone calls came in, but Gray ignored them. A text message soon followed. Knight's text read as follows: "I will see you in person. You have kids just like me, so let's play hardball." Ending the message with a pair of expletives and a racial slur, according to court records. During the hearing, Gray repeatedly said he could not remember anything about the messages, according to a copy of the transcripts reviewed by The Times. At one point, Gray seemed to have difficulty even recalling details about the film he directed, which was nominated for an Academy Award and received numerous other tributes. The director's testimony, or lack of it, illustrated the level of fear Knight had instilled in Gray. Deputy District Attorney Cynthia Barnes told the grand jury. "He's so afraid he came in here and lied under oath," Barnes said. "He's perjuring himself because he's that afraid." When police arrived at the film set, Gray seemed extremely agitated as well as extremely frightened, according to the testimony of Los Angeles police detective Jason Cook, who responded to the call to show up at the scene that day. According to Cook's testimony, Gray told detectives Knight had threatened his family and members of the film crew, and that he was angry over his portrayal. In the grand jury hearing, Gray was evasive when asked by a prosecutor whether Knight was depicted as violent in the film, only acknowledging that the character took part in a fight scene. The director repeatedly said he could not remember anything about the phone calls, text messages, or any communication he had that day with Knight. According to the transcript, Gray said, "I can't say I remember being threatened by him specifically. You seem to have a black hole memory when it comes to this individual incident," said prosecutor Cynthia Barnes while questioning director F. Gary Gray. The next video that I recommend you watch is about the story of the beef between Tupac and Biggie. Thanks everybody for watching. See you soon.